Hello and welcome to VNA News Daily Bulletin. Coming up next, we have your top stories.
Top leaders review work performance during 2011 to 2016 tenure. Drought and saline intrusion affects aquatic product exports. Voting card painting showed to public in Hanoi.
Top leaders of the National Assembly, State and Government presented draft work reports in the 2011 to 2016 tenure during the session of the 13th National Assembly on March 22nd.
In the 13th National Assembly Work Report, Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng hailed the legislature and its deputies for upholding the sense of responsibility in performing their duties on lawmaking and supreme supervision, as well as deciding the country's key issues. The National Assembly fulfilled the goal of devising and adopting the 2013 Constitution and institutionalizing the party guidelines, especially the platform for national construction in the period of transition toward socialism. The National Assembly has also issued the largest number of legal documents in a single tenure with a higher quality. Chairman Hùng stressed that an open question and answer style is the most effective form of supervision, thereby creating positive changes and consensus on awareness and action in the state apparatus. The report presented by President Trương Tấn Sang stated that, over the past 5 years, the President has closely coordinated with legislative, executive and judicial agencies, the Vietnam Fatherland Front, organizations, ministries, localities, people and voters nationwide to effectively fulfill his assigned tasks. Together with the entire party, people and army, the President has contributed to delivering the 11th National Party Congress's resolution, as well as the party's guidelines and the state's policies and laws, as well as resolutions on the 13th National Assembly. Regarding tasks and orientations for the time ahead, President Trương Tấn Sang stressed the need to team up with the National Assembly and its standing committee and the government to fulfill tasks in the legislative and executive sectors. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng also reported the government's and his performance during the 2011-2016 term to the National Assembly. The Prime Minister said the Cabinet and he focused on controlling inflation, stabilizing the macroeconomy, and ensuring sustainable growth. The annual gross domestic product growth rate averaged 5.9% during the period, reaching 6.68% in 2015, the highest since 2008. To build a socialist-oriented market economy, the government focused on creating an equal competition environment, increasing administrative reforms, rapidly developing skilled manpower, fundamentally and comprehensively reforming education, and building synchronous infrastructure, especially in transport and facilities in big cities. In the report, Prime Minister Dũng also acknowledged certain shortcomings and flaws in the Cabinet's performance. Based on the successes and failures over the last 5 years, Prime Minister Dũng concluded that it is critical to swiftly institutionalize the party's guidelines, the Constitution and the state's laws, and set the national and people's interests as an ultimate goal.
Vietnam and Russia held the second defense strategy dialogue at deputy ministerial level in Moscow on March 21st, discussing measures to strengthen defense cooperation between the two countries. Speaking at the event, Deputy Defense Minister Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Chí Vịnh expressed his belief that Vietnam-Russia ties will go a long way in the future. Meanwhile, Russian Deputy Defense Minister Anatoly Antonov affirmed that Russia considers Vietnam a strategic partner. He pointed to increasingly complicated developments in the world situation, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, where Russia and Vietnam are cooperating to promote peace. The two sides examined possible risks to the two countries and Asia-Pacific security, including terrorism. They shared the view that in order to maintain regional peace and stability, bilateral and regional cooperation mechanisms should be strengthened, especially those for dialogue, strategic trust building, preventive diplomacy, as well as conflict prevention and management measures. Both sides agreed to facilitate all-level visits and work closely together on training, strategic research, science technology, and military technology, with a view to enhancing Vietnam-Russia defense ties. A national meeting to mark World Water Day 2016 with the theme Water and Jobs was held in the central province of Thanh Hóa on March 22nd. Our reporters bring you more details.
The World Water Day is held annually on March 22nd to draw the world's attention to the importance of fresh water and advocating the sustainable management of fresh water sources. Having acknowledged the importance of the water sources, Vietnam has taken measures to improve the protection as well as sustainable exploration and use of fresh water. On this occasion, the organizers called upon relevant ministries and agencies to work out policies to ensure water security for the sustainable development of society. Mountainous and remote localities are requested to raise public awareness of the protection of upstream forests so as to maintain and develop water sources for rivers and lakes in the lower areas. Meanwhile, plain and coastal areas, especially the Mekong Delta, are urged to pay more attention to planting trees, protecting and developing mangrove forests, and increasing the number of reservoirs to protect water sources and cope with climate change and the rising of sea level.
Severe drought and saltwater intrusion in the Mekong Delta region has badly affected not only agriculture but also aquaculture, threatening a scarcity of raw materials for seafood exports.
Shrimp farmers in Bến Tre, Trà Vinh, Sóc Trăng and Kiên Giang province are worrying as their shrimps keep dying because of drought and saltwater intrusion up rivers. Statistics from the General Department of Irrigation showed that over 70% of aquaculture areas in the southernmost province of Cà Mau, equivalent to 2,700 hectares, were affected, while the damaged areas in Trà Vinh and Bến Tre range between 30 and 70% of the total. Due to saline intrusion, the region's aquaculture areas are shrinking remarkably, posing a threat to its aquaculture development plan. The situation is forecast to worsen as the salinity in freshwater area is rising. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, export earnings from aquatic products have risen 8.2% to $1.1 billion so far this year, but the annual target of $7.1 billion will be hard to achieve.
A working session to evaluate the World Bank's fact-finding trip on a substantial environmental project in central coastal cities took place in Ninh Thuận province. The trip was conducted in the central coastal cities of Đồng Hới, Quy Nhơn, Nha Trang and Phan Rang from March 1st to 21st. The event discussed and evaluated the project's preparation, fund allocation, investment categories, environmental safety, bidding and financial management in participating cities. The World Bank representatives underscored experiences in selecting drainage treatment technologies, compensation and resettlement processes, as well as fund allocation, which were drawn out in the first phase of the project. In addition, relevant authorities and service suppliers for participating provinces and cities should effectively implement financial commitments and deploy institutional arrangement work on the local level. Proposed components in the second phase will include hygiene infrastructure expansion, environmental facility improvement, site clearance compensation, and institutional reform support. A collection of more than 100 wooden carved paintings by artist Trần Nguyên Đán are being displayed in Hanoi, attracting large crowds of lovers of this traditional art form.
Images of the Vietnamese landscape and its people's cultural and working lives are the theme of the display of wooden reliefs which were carved between 1970 and 2015. I really feel dizzy seeing a huge collection like this. The panel scenes are familiar, showing ordinary life and easy to understand. Among the materials that traditional graphic artworks are created on, scenes carved on wood are not the ideal cup of tea to many artists because it requires a meticulousness that is rather time-consuming. The artist must have a lot of patience and love for this art form to follow it. Trần Nguyên Đán is a great example of what this level of patience can achieve. I simply follow it because it's my fault. That audiences and my colleagues come to see the carvings is a gift to me. Sculptor Trần Nguyên Đán has spent his whole life carving on wood. His works are now being showcased at some big museums across the country. The exhibition is free and runs until March 27 at the Hanoi-based Vietnam Fine Arts Museum.
A photo book featuring Sơn Doong Cave in the central province of Quảng Bình has been launched in Ho Chi Minh City.
The bilingual photo book, titled Sơn Doong Cave at the Underground Paradise, has two parts highlighting the unique beauty of the cave and the author's real experiences exploring it.
After my trip to Sơn Doong, I have made plans to publish a book showcasing a broader view of the cave as well as expressing my feelings on the trip. The journey was so emotional that it compels me to make this book.
Sơn Doong Cave is more than 200 meters wide, 150 meters high, and approximately 9 kilometers long. Within its caverns lie a jungle and a river, and the cave is large enough to fit a 40-story skyscraper inside. The cave was classified as the largest in the world by the British Cave Research Association. The American news site Huffington Post declared the cave an absolute must-see. Sơn Doong was also listed among the 52 places to go in 2014 by the New York Times Travel.
A special gala dinner was held in Hanoi on March 21st to promote France's culinary culture. We have more in the following report.
The event was part of a global culinary program entitled Good de France, or Good France in English, which aims to promote the country's gastronomy and culture to people all over the world. This year, on the same evening of March 21st, over 1,000 of chefs on 5 continents simultaneously offered dinners a French-style menu. In Vietnam, the French embassy hosted a gala event, and among those invited were 40 students who were learning French, where they had the opportunity to contemplate the authentic cuisine, while taking part in games to learn more about the country.
I myself have tried some French dishes, so I might distinguish some differences between the culinary cultures of Vietnam and France. So I really enjoyed tasting French dishes here at the French Embassy once again.
Diners at the event were also introduced to French dining habits, how to partake in a French meal, and savor the taste of France.
This is my first time I tasted French food. There's only one word to describe it: excellent.
The gastronomy of France has been listed as a World Intangible Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO since 2010. And Good de France has been a delightful interlude and an opportunity to celebrate French cuisine worldwide.
And that was the end of our news bulletin. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.